All right. Hey, my name is Dr. Luke Reinhardt, and thank you for tuning in today. We're going to do a replay of our Kick the Sick webinar. And for those of you who tuned in last night, I apologize for not being on. If you registered and you're watching the replay, thank you for joining us. But I wanted to take some time and record this and make sure we send it out to everybody for those who either, like I said, missed the webinar or unfortunately we had some things come up that we weren't able to do it live last night. So this is what that is, a replay of it. And so if you're watching this, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I know that we're all crazy busy people, and so a little bit of your time to share with me, it's not unappreciated. So what I'm going to do today, and what I'm going to take time doing in this recording, is talk about our health and our immune health. We are in the middle of cold and flu season. We're going to come back to that here in a little bit and talk about that. But you know, it's the time of year where I'm getting the emails all the time from the schools. Hey, there's strep in second grade. Hey, there's a flu case in first grade. Check your child. Your child might have been exposed to this. You're right. And you hear everybody who comes into the office, they're coughing and they're sneezing, and we're always sick. And so what today is, what we're going to do is the title of today's talk is called Kick the Sick. We're going to talk about some things that you can do for you and your family. I'm a parent myself. We'll come back to that again. We see a lot of kids in the office too. We're going to do things that you can do for yourself and for your family to help make the outcomes, make your wintertime, make your flu season, make the cold season better and easier and better to get through. So we don't have to have kids who are missing a week, 2 weeks of school. We don't have people calling in to work all the time. We don't have to worry about running to get another antibiotic. Not that we're against that, but hopefully you don't even need it. That's the goal, right? Today we're going to share information that we're going to try to help change the way that we look at how our immune system works and how we really look at our health and how we view symptoms. That's going to be really kind of the thing we're going to hit home. So before we get started, my personal email is luke@proactiveohio.com. Our office number is 614-337-8111. I wanted to give you that information because if I say something today that you think, wow, that doesn't make sense, or hey, that's really interesting, I want to follow up on that and have more questions, email me, give us a call. The number is also textable. Shoot us a text. We'd be happy to anything we can do to help you and your family. We're here to help. So please don't hesitate. Please don't ask me questions. Feel free to challenge me if you say, "Hey, wait, I don't believe you. I don't think that's right." And let's have a conversation. Let's do some things we can do to make our community just a little bit healthier. So I'm gonna start out by sharing my screen here. Let me see, and where to go? Sorry, 1 second here. Let's try this again. There we go. All right, so you should be able to see our little title screen here, Kick the Sick. And, you know, like I kind of mentioned a minute ago, that first and foremost, I'm a husband and a father. I got two boys, Hudson and Owen. Hudson's the older one, Owen's the youngest one. And this isn't something that's theory. This isn't something that I'm just have an idea. This is something that we practice. You know, this is something that we use with our children, and this is something that that we see. You know, knock on wood, this season, while I have other friends and family and kids who've already missed multiple days of school for sick, knock on wood, we haven't missed one yet. The kids have been healthy, they've got through, and when other kids around them seem to have colds, have flus, have sicknesses, they stay healthy. Now, does that mean they don't maybe get a little bit of fever every now and then? No. Does it mean they've never been sick before in their life? No, they get that, but they recover differently, and they are different. And the main reason is because of a lot of things we're going to talk about today. So I talk about these things because, one, I'm passionate about health and children's health and family's health, but two, I live it. And so that's I've been in practice for 13 years, and I've been a father for 7 years. So I've been around the block a couple times, and we really implement these things. So what's happening right now? Let's maybe guys put some data behind it, because I always like numbers. I nerd out on that stuff. This is all information from the CDC. You can pull up on your own, and the information I have is from the 2017-2018 season, right? The sick season, and this is showing us that 49 million people had some kind of flu-like illness. in 2017, 2018. That's more people that live in Texas and Florida combined. And they say that the number of hospitalizations we had out of those 49 million were almost a million. We're 960,000 hospitalizations. And that number is more hospitalizations than there are hospital beds, staffed hospital beds in the United States. So there's more people than we have that are getting this disease, getting this sickness, than we are, than that's what's getting, than what we have to serve them. So it's a really big problem. And then, I work with a lot of people who work in hospitals, and yeah, this time of year, they're crazy busy. They have tons of people that are always working with the flu. And so, I went on Facebook Live a while ago. I said, my prediction for 2019 is more of the same. And it's not because I knew about some new super bug that's coming down the pipeline. It's not because I have some amazing insight to some new disease that's coming and we're not ready for. My prediction of more of the same is based on the fact that nothing has really changed. We hear about every single year, we hear about, oh, this is the worst flu season ever. And then the year after, oh no, this is the worst flu season ever. And every single year it's the worst ever, right? But the thing is, every single season we do the same thing over and over and over, and we expect to get different results. That is the definition of insanity. If we continue to do the same thing, we continue to take the same approaches, but we expect a different outcome, complete insanity. So it's going to be more of the same this year. Everybody's doing the same things that they do every single year to prepare for the season, to coming up to the season, and they think they're going to have a different outcome, but they never do. So more of the same's coming. That's what today is really all about. Today, what it is, today is a new way of looking at illness, a new way of looking at symptoms and how we fight disease, and how our new, hopefully, understanding of how our immune system actually works. When we understand how our immune system works, it gives us a little bit more, insight in how we can deal with that and how we can prepare our body to help us fight any kind of infection that comes in the future. What tonight isn't, not bashing mainstream medicine. I'm not calling out all the pediatricians. I'm not calling out all the medical doctors. I'm not calling out pharmaceutical companies. I'm not. It's not bashing anybody. It's it's a time and a place. When we look across the world, America has the number one healthcare system. If we're talking about getting a disease or getting an illness, we're better than anywhere else you'd want to be in the world. But the end of the day is we're also sicker than anybody else in the world. So, we're not trying to bash anybody. We're not saying somebody's wrong. We're not saying that there's not a time and a place where you need to go to your doctor. You need to go to your pediatrician. You need to go to the emergency room. But oftentimes we use that as a first line of defense, and that's not always the best option. So we're going to just try to change the way that you look at health, look at wellness, and look at how we fight disease, and hopefully we'll give you a different perspective. And when we change your perspective, that's when we have the opportunity to change the outcome. So I'm going to ask some questions today to make you think a little bit. And once again, shoot me an email, shoot me a text, leave a comment in the comment section if you're watching this online. But think through these questions. And the first question I like to ask, and I ask these to my patients too, is sick a season? I live in Ohio. If you're watching this from some other state, it's like in Ohio, we have spring, summer, fall, and sick, right? That's kind of the season that we get in. And when things change, it's like, oh my gosh, yeah, we're in cold and flu season now. Now it's time to do this. Now it's time to get that, and prepare for cold and flu season. And is it really a season? Is the flu bug, where is it in June and July? Is it not around? Well, the answer is yes, it's still around, but we are prepared. It always hits this time of year, if you ever notice that, right after we get done with Halloween. So everybody gets the Halloween candy, right? I'm guilty. I took the Reese cups, I'm going to admit it. But yeah, we eat the Halloween candy, right? And then right after Halloween, we come on the heels of Thanksgiving. So we start, we get ready to eat again. And then during this time also, it goes from bright and sunny and we're outside playing with fresh fruits and fresh vegetables that grew in our garden, to cloudy, to dreary, to our long sleeve shirts covering up our skin so we don't have any exposure, getting any vitamin D. And then we start to put on the big coats and cover our heads and put on our gloves. And we don't exercise as much. We are, we're busy. The kids are in school. We have to run to basketball practice and swim lessons. This is personal experience talking here. And, Thanksgiving comes, and then Christmas comes with all the Christmas cookies and the Christmas meals, and then New Year's comes, and we want to celebrate New Year's, and we're sick from November to March. And we're like, I don't know why I'm sick every single year. It's because we look at not only what we're doing, but we look at the lifestyle. When we're not outside getting sun, we lose our vitamin D. We start eating a bunch of sugar, it destroys our immune system. When we're always busy, we're always under stress, we go into fight or flight stress response, and it actually deactivates our immune system to some degree. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And it always happens this time of year, not because the flu bug, not because the other bugs are not around in the summertime, but because our body's not prepared to fight them off. Our internal army, our internal immune system just can't fight it. So the sick is not a season. The flu is always around. The bugs are always around. We are more susceptible to them because our immune system is significantly lower this time of year because of lifestyle choices. Question number 2. Do we get sick every time we encounter germs or bacteria? Why or why not? So, excuse me. So this is a question I like to ask to my people as well. You may know, you think of somebody who I say, oh my gosh, they're sick all the time. I have someone who comes to the top of my mind that anytime somebody sniffles around them, they're out for a week. They have to get on antibiotics. They have to, right? They're out. They lay low. They don't go to school. They just think of it, and they are around it, and they're sick. They can't fight off anything. And we all know other people who, no matter what, just always seem healthy. They never, knock on wood. I've been in chiropractic practice now for 13 years, and I miss one day of work in 13 years. Not to say that, once again, I sometimes don't feel the best, but I've never been to the point where I actually felt sick enough where I thought I needed to miss work other than one day because I had food poisoning, right? And so what's the difference, right? The bug's not the different. If they're in the same room, they're in the same environment, they both get exposed to the same bug, one person gets sick and one person doesn't, what's the difference? It's not the bug. The bug's the same for both people. Why is one person able to fight off the disease and one person gets it as soon as they are around it? This is D.D. Palmer, the founder of chiropractic. He had the same question. He said, I desired to know why one person was ailing and his associate, eating at the same table, working at the same shop, at the same bench, was not. Why? What's the difference? What difference was there in these two persons that caused one to have various diseases while his partner escaped? What's the difference between the kids who are that miss 3 weeks of school in a school year and the kids who have perfect attendance? It's not the bug. They're in the same bug. They're in the same room. They're exposed to the same germs, right? What's the difference? And the difference is in their immune system. It's how our body is able to fight it off. What do the kids do that makes the difference, right? There's probably a lot of things, but nutrition makes a big deal. Is important. The stress levels make a big deal. It's important. There are other things that we can do to help boost our immune system naturally. But most people, when I see them, they spend far more time worrying about getting rid of the bugs, disinfecting everything. Well, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, right? Don't take me wrong. I'm not saying you should quit disinfecting everything, but I also am not scared when someone comes in contact with that, because it helps. Every time you're in contact with germs, every time you're in contact with bugs, it helps build our immune system. And when we're in a sterile environment our entire life, anytime that we encounter one, we're going to get sick. So, sterilization, all that stuff, once again, it's not a bad thing, but also, we shouldn't be scared of these bugs. We shouldn't be scared of these germs, because if we're spending all of our time fighting off the germs and not worrying about the host, not worrying about what we can do to make our body stronger and fight them off more efficiently, we're really missing the boat, and we're kind of going at the approach from a different perspective. So once again, I'm not saying disinfectant. I'm not saying you should throw out all your Clorox wipes. My wife would shoot me if she heard me say that, don't tell. But the reality is that kids need to be exposed to germs to some degree. It's good for them, it's good for their immune system, and it helps build their strong immune system so their immune system can learn a natural immunity. So when it comes in contact with whatever it is in the future, they fight it off and it doesn't even faze them. You don't even know that there's a problem. Question number 3. Fever, good thing or bad thing? Or another way to phrase that, fever, are you sick or you're healthy? So this is the one that, I say, I ask, once again, I ask this a lot to my patients, like, if you get a fever, are you sick or are you healthy? And, a lot of people say, oh my gosh, if your temperature is 100 degrees, you are sick. And I've argue that no, I think you're absolutely healthy if you have a fever, and you'd actually be more sick if you didn't have a fever in that situation. So let me give you an example. I like to eat chicken, right? What's the first thing that we do before we're getting ready to eat chicken? We cook it. Why do we cook it? We cook it because we know if we heat up the chicken and get it to the right temperature, any bacteria, anything that's on that, any kind of germs, any kind of viruses, what have you, when we raise the heat, when we make it hot enough, it kills those things. They can't survive in the heat. It would be awesome if our body did that, right? If our body knew the exact number that bacteria, that germ, that virus could withstand before it died. That's what our body does. We come in contact with a germ, we come in contact with the bacteria, we come in contact with a virus, and our body says, oh, I know what that is. That's the flu. I know what that is. That I know. I've seen that germ before. I've seen that bacteria before. We need to go to 101 today, and because that bacteria, it can make it to 100, but at 101, it's done. And that's what our body does. So a lot of times, what we do is we get the fever, or our kids get a fever, and the first instinct is, oh my gosh, I got a fever. We got to get that down. You are completely stopping our body's natural response, our natural immune response to that. And you're allowing that bug, you're allowing that germ, you're allowing that virus to fester inside that body and not die and thrive. And then we wonder why kids are sick for 5, 6, 7 days and they just never seem to get better. It's because we don't allow their body to take care of it like it needs to. Now, once again, is there a time and a place where should you talk to your pediatrician? Sure. Is there a time where you need to go to the emergency room if your body temperature gets too high? Sure. Is there a time that we need to give the child fluids if they need to stay hydrated? Absolutely. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is, oftentimes parents get concerned and freaked out when their child's temperature gets to 99, 100, 101, 102. And that's a good, healthy response that if our body didn't have, wouldn't be able to fight infection. We'd be more susceptible to all these diseases. We'd be more susceptible to all the germs. Fever is a very healthy thing, and a very healthy response is something that we want our body to do. Completely healthy body, completely healthy immune system if we get the fever. And that's something that, I would encourage more people to let their children have fevers to some degree. And once again, talk with your pediatrician. You don't want to get to 104, 105. Yeah, call the doctor, call the emergency room. Make sure that your child's okay. But if they're running a low-grade fever especially, let it run its course and let their immune system do what it has to do, kill off whatever it has, and allow it to learn so when it comes in contact with it, it'll fight it off better. Fever is a good thing. And it's not just fever. When we talk about symptoms in general, a lot of times people, let me move around this a little bit. A lot of times people think, when they think about symptoms, they think about sniffles, they think about a runny nose, we think about a fever, we think about an upset stomach, or we think about vomiting or throwing up. We think, oh my gosh, they're so sick. We need to give them everything we can right now to squash those symptoms. We need to get rid of those symptoms as soon as we can. Most people, when they think of symptoms, they think of their philosophy behind symptoms, they think they're evil. They think they must be eliminated. You've got to get rid of these symptoms as soon as you can so you can feel better, right? And listen, I never want anyone to feel bad. I don't want that for someone. But I'm also okay with symptoms. I'm okay if you have an upset stomach If you have to vomit, so your body knows, hey, I need to get this out of me as soon as I can, get it out as soon as you can. If our fever goes up to 101, oh my gosh, it's such a healthy body. It's knowing exactly what that bacteria is and how to fight it off. If we have a runny nose, it knows that there's some kind of virus or some kind of bacteria that's going to enclose in that mucus and get out of our system or get through our system, so it's not causing more damage, causing more illness. New philosophy: symptoms are a sign of a healthy system. Symptoms are there for our benefit, not to work against us. They're there for a reason. Our body intelligently knows how to fight off what it is you're coming in contact with, and the symptoms are very useful in supporting our immune system. Now, once again, I said this is like probably the third or fourth time I said this, but it doesn't mean you should never see a doctor again. It doesn't mean you should never talk about your symptoms to somebody else. It doesn't mean you need to get help at some point. But once again, every time we have a symptom, if we're running for the medicine cabinet and taking something to bring down our fever, taking something to get rid of our sniffles, taking an allergy medication, taking like all these medications just to get rid of the symptom, we're diminishing our body's natural immune system, our body's natural ability to fight off whatever it is we come in contact with. Symptoms are absolutely for our benefit and not just something that's evil that needs to be eliminated as soon as we can. If we can if we can make that shift in our way of thinking, those numbers from 49 million people with the flu, from almost 1 million people needing hospital beds, if we don't have that many hospital beds, that's when we'll see the number start to come down. That number is not going to come down from some new potion, lotion, medication, pill. Once again, not against those things, but until we shift our mindset to think that symptoms aren't always against us, they're for us, it's just going to keep happening. It's just going to get worse. Now, the other thing that happens during, once again, cold and flu is not a season, but I say cold and flu season because everybody knows what time it is, right? Is our stress levels change. We get ready for the holidays. We have in-laws coming in. We have to get ready for the holiday meals. We have to make sure our budget's right so we can get all the presents and gifts for everybody, and they get the right gifts. And we have all of these stresses coming on. And all these stresses absolutely play a role in our immune system health. And it plays a role in our immune system health through our nervous system and how our nervous system manages and adapts to stress. So we have this conversation of stress a lot in our office too. And we're going to talk about the picture you see here on the right-hand side. This one says heart rate variability scan. That'll make sense in a minute. But to make sense of that, we have to understand how our body and how our nervous system and immune system respond to stress. And I say nervous system first because the nervous system ultimately controls your immune system. So your nervous system is made up of your brain, spinal cord, and these nerves that branch off of your spinal cord. Your brain is a master control center. It knows, here's the bacteria, we need to raise the temperature up. Here's where we got to cut, we need to send healing factor here. There's something in my stomach that shouldn't be here. This is going to make me sick. Let's get it out. Time to vomit, right? Your brain controls all that through those nerves, through those communication lines. And your brain does a couple things when we have stress. So our nervous system is broken down into two branches. Half of our nerves are called our sympathetic nerves. And our sympathetic nerves are our fight or flight response system. We've all heard of our fight or flight system. That's the sympathetic nerves. And their job is to get us ready to either fight the stress or run away from the stress, no matter what kind of stress it is. Physical stress, emotional stress, chemical stress, doesn't matter. Its job, get us ready to either fight or run away. The example I always give is, let's imagine there's a bear in the room with us, right? You see this guy down here. What happens to our body? The first thing is our heart starts racing. We start, beating out of our chest. We start our pumping adrenaline, right, to get ready. We start pushing sugars, and we push blood to our arms and to our legs so we can get ready to run away. And we're going to run. You may want to try to fight the bear. Not me. I'm going to try to run away, right? I'm going to get out of there as fast as I can. That's our fight or flight response. And that's an appropriate response. We need that response to stress. Now, the other side of our nervous system are called our parasympathetics. While we're running away from the bear, are we worried about taking a nap? No. Are we worried about fighting off the flu bug? No. We're worried about digesting our lunch? No. Are we worried about growth, development, recovery? No, no, no. All of our energy when we're running away from the bear is to get away, is to fight, is to survive. The parasympathetic nervous system is our body's natural brake pedal. Their job is once that stress is gone, once we've run away from the bear and the bear can't get us anymore, they want to bring everything back down to a normal resting level. They're also in control of our immune system. They're in control of our digestive system. They're in control of sleep. And we talk about any kind of recovery or any type of growth and development, it's all on that brake pedal side. Neurologically, we cannot be in fight or flight. We cannot be in protection mode and recovery mode at the same time. Dr. Bruce Lipton, who's a PhD, said that. He did this research to show that. And we can't be in growth and protection. We can't be in recovery and protection. We can't be in immune system function and protection at the same time. We can only be in one or the other. So when we have stress all the time, whether it's the foods we eat, whether it's the emotional stress from the holidays, whether it's the lack of exercise, lack of physical stress on our bodies get locked in to stress mode all the time. And because we're always running away from the bear, we never have any energy to put towards our immune health. And that is one of the biggest reasons that I see, along with the mindset. We talk about the mindset is very, very important. The philosophy and your belief system behind sickness is very important. But you want to put a physical reason why some people get sick and some people don't. It's how their body is dealing with stress day in and day out. And that's what this heart rate variability scan that you see here really shows us. So I got the cursor here. You can actually see in the stress picture on the left, there's a little white dot, like kind of in the midline and to the left. How we read this and how we interpret this, the little black line in the middle is complete balance. We want to be right on that black line. When you're on that black line, when you have stress, you can go into fight or flight, manage the stress. And when the stress is gone, your body disengages, that parasympathetic kicks in and brings you right back to neutral, right back to baseline. We should be in fight or flight probably about 10% of our day, and we should be in brake pedal parasympathetic rest relax mode about 90% of our day. Most people have that flip-flopped. So the closer you score to the black line, the more balanced, the better the two sides are working together. The further you shift to one side, the more dominant that side of our nervous system is. So you can see this person here who is stressed, they're shifted all the way over to the left, they're shifted all the way over to that sympathetic fight or flight side. Their body is in stress mode all the time. And I can also tell from this that they've been that way for a long, long time. And I can tell that based on the up and down portion of the chart. The up and down portion is measuring something called our stress reserve. It's like our fuel tank for stress, right? So someone who has a high reserve, someone who scores way up here in this green box, when they have stress, they pull from their fuel tank, they manage the stress, and they move on. Stress doesn't seem to bother them, doesn't affect them. They're great with it. Someone who scores at the very bottom, someone who scores in the dark red area towards the bottom, with someone with low reserve, their fuel tank is running on empty. For them, when they have stress, they try to pull from the fuel tank, and there's just nothing there to pull from. A lot of fatigue, a lot of exhaustion, and oftentimes what we see with people with low reserve is even mild stresses can cause overwhelm or anxiety in someone with low reserve. So this person is stressed out. They've got some chronic stress. It's just been there for a long time. And if I had to guess, they probably have some gut issues. They probably have some sleep issues. And they probably get sick every time they even hear someone have a tiny little sniffle. The person on the right, they're living a different life. They have a different story. That little white dot is all the way at the top. They're right on the black line. Everything's balanced. Like I said, when they have stress, they can deal with it. When the stress is gone, they come right back to baseline. They recover really well. Their reserve is high. Their fuel tank is high. Tons of energy, always up, always going. And they just manage stress well, and they don't likely ever they don't get as sick as often as someone with low reserve and who is in fight or flight mode. Or if they do, they recover much more quickly. The recovery time is probably one of the biggest things that we see. So that's one of the ways that we can tell if, as a chiropractor, if it's something we can help people with. And And most of the research is showing now, a lot of the cool new research at least, is showing when we make a chiropractic adjustment, we're actually influencing the brain and how the brain deals with stress. There's a new research out that shows that chiropractic adjustment actually impacts a part of your brain called the prefrontal cortex, which is actually your body's rational thinking part of your brain, your relaxed brain, your emotional brain, things like that. But I was just in San Diego not too long ago, and speaker gave this like perfect example of what goes on. Like, let's imagine this is our brain, and the front of our brain is called our prefrontal cortex. It has to deal with emotion, thought processes, things like that. There's also this part of our brain underneath that called the limbic system. That's our fight or flight response brain. It's the brain that we just need to react. When there's a stress we need to get away from, it doesn't want us to think, it wants us to react. The example I give is, imagine a caveman sitting and all of a sudden he sees a saber-toothed tiger. Does a caveman want to go, well, what should I do? That saber-toothed tiger is running at me. Maybe I could start a fire, or maybe I should get a stick and I sharpen that and I could use that stick to fight him off, or maybe I can find just a good place to hide. I'm not sure what. No, caveman doesn't want to think about all those things. Caveman wants to react and get out of there. So the limbic brain, the reaction brain, actually shuts off your prefrontal cortex, shuts it off. And you just react. You don't think, you just go, right? That's where, when I have my kids, my 4-year-old, I think he's in that part of his brain most of the time. He reacts more than he thinks. But that's what that part of your brain does. Now, what we're finding is when we make a chiropractic adjustment, it floods the brain with this neurologic information and actually re-engages this prefrontal cortex, re-engages the part of your brain that has to deal with relaxation and thought processes and emotion and all these higher motor functioning, but it shuts off your limbic brain. It shuts off the fight or flight. It turns on the relaxed. So when we talk about making an impact in these scans, one of the best ways that we can do that to have stress relief from a brain perspective is a chiropractic adjustment. We see this all the time. We measure this for not only our new patients, but as we go through care to make sure that people are managing their stresses efficiently so we don't have a chronic stress becomes a health challenge. The CDC says that 80% of the diseases we have are stress related. What does that mean? It doesn't mean that it's actually the stress, it's how our body responds to stress. If we're always in stress mode, we're always in fight or flight mode, and our body can't disengage, can't relax, that's when we see the health challenges really arise. And that's how we measure that. The other test that we do is thermography. And, how do you know if your internal army is ready to fight? Let me move the screen again here. Sorry, I'm moving all over the place. And this is another tool we use that we see. Is there stress all along these nerves? At any one point in time, we only feel about 10% of our nerves. 90% of our nervous system is how our brain and our body talk to each other, how our brain controls our organs, how our brain controls our muscle, and how all that information feeds back to our brain so our brain knows what's going on with our environment and can adapt to it. Now, if you have a bunch of these red and green and blue stripes on your scan, if we do a thermal scan and we see these, that tells me, even though you're not in pain, you have a lot of areas where there's miscommunication, there's stress within the nervous system, and your body's not communicating well. And when your brain can't understand what's happening inside your body, it can't adapt to your environment. And that's when we see people once again get sick. So these two tests specifically, that's how we know if when the cold and flu season comes along, that's how we know you're ready to fight it. And we know you're ready to have a good outcome versus being sick all winter long. So I want to thank you. If you stuck with me this whole time, I really, really appreciate it. I hope what you got from this is, at minimum, made you think. At minimum, it made you think, you know what, that makes sense. We've been doing the same thing every year, and we're sick every year. We need to try something different. They say knowledge is power. And there's some truth to that, right? The more you know, the better you are. But it's a half truth. At the end of the day, knowledge isn't power, applied knowledge is power. So if you take all this information we got and you think, oh man, that was cool, that really made me think, and then at the end of the day, you don't do anything with that information, I kind of failed you to some degree. And I apologize for that. And so a lot of times when I talk this, I give this workshop, I see the wheels start turning from parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, or even just yourself. Like, and I see the question kind of forming in people's heads, like, I wonder if. I wonder if that's why little Johnny's always sick and why he's missed 2 weeks of school. I wonder if that's why I've had this runny nose for the past 2 months that's never gone away. I wonder if that's why am on my seventh round of antibiotics and they can just never seem to go away. I wonder if. And what I'd like to do is offer an opportunity to find out. We do these scans in our office as part of our exam, and something that I'm passionate about is pediatric research. We would do more thing. My passion is my boys and their health and their generation, to make them as healthy as what they can be. And so what we're offering is a discounted exam. It's $47 for our full exam, which normally is a lot more. And part of that exam includes both of the scans that you saw here to help me really see, is your body working as well as what it can? How are you managing stresses? And are you ready? Is your immune system ready to fight off is your nervous system ready to help your immune system fight off whatever comes this season? So for that $47, we're going to take all that money and we're going to donate it to an organization, the National Wellness Family Alliance, and 100% of the funds will go to pediatric research. If you're interested in that, once again, my email personally is luke@proactiveohio.com. You can find us on Facebook, Proactive Health and Wellness, or you can reach out to our office, 614-337-8111. Call us. You can also text that number. That's textable. But reach out to us. Find out. Have some scans. Take a look. See what you can do. And I challenge you, do something different this year. Don't let this year be like last year and the year before that and the year before that. Because unless you make a change, unless you do something different, we're going to continue to have the same outcomes. It's going to be the same every single stinking year. And if I could do anything, and once again, if I at minimum got you to think a little bit better, get you thinking maybe a little bit differently. I guess better isn't necessarily the right word. If I got you to think a little bit differently today, then I've accomplished my goal. Make some changes with your family. Reach out to us and let's see if we can help. If you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Hope you guys enjoyed today. Once again, hopefully we'll hear from you soon. And if you have any questions or say, hey, that isn't right, shoot me an email, give me a call. Let's chat about it. Let's chat about your health, and hopefully we can make a difference for you and your family. So thank you again for your time. I appreciate you, and we'll talk soon.